Creating an inclusive school. This is for B.Ed second year, exclusively for Pondicherry University. This is for Vasavi College of Education, Pondicherry. Under Unit 1, Historical and Modern Perspective on Inclusion. Here we'll be talking about the meaning, definition and characteristics of special education, history of special education and scope of special education, principles and teachers' role and factors affecting inclusion, and the present situation of special education in India. First, let us discuss about the meaning, definition and characteristics of special education. The instruction designed for students with special learning needs is the definition. Now, all children are not alike with respect to their mental and physical attributes. Mentally, some may be ready to learn, some may not be ready or matured to understand the concepts. So, the evidence of society's willingness to recognize and respond to the individual needs of students and the time limits of regular school programs to accommodate these needs alone gives a meaning to special education. So the meaning is, the society should understand that all learners are not alike. They are different. Their learning ability differs from person to person, from student to student. And in a society, the individual needs and the individual differences should be addressed, and the school programs should accommodate their needs. The time limit also should accommodate their needs. Only then we can get a meaning to special education. Some children are highly gifted, while other children may not be so gifted and they are less talented. We need to understand the difference. So the differences are, some may have physical disabilities like unable to walk, unable to move and unable to lift the hand. Some are retarded in intellectual development. Retarded means may not be 100% mentally retarded. Some may have a mental block to study certain subjects. Some students may be suffering from epilepsy, that is a nerve disorder, and may be emotionally disturbed, unable to adjust with the school setting, fear of teachers, or in the family, may not be a very understanding parents, or in the community. Some may have learning disabilities. Some may have problems in understanding mathematics or English, or to write, to read. So these children, they exhibit a marked behavioral or communication disorders. They may not communicate well with everybody. So intellectual, physical or multiple disabilities they have. So these exceptional children have special needs that demand additional support beyond the ordinarily available in the normal school environment. So we need to understand that they cannot cope up with the already existing environment, school environment, like a person who cannot walk needs a ramp or a wheelchair. So such additional support should be given. So a person who will learn with visual support should be given that visual support. Maybe a chart, a PowerPoint presentation will help him to learn more. So some are auditory learners, visual learners. So we need to cater to the needs of those children. The term special education refers not only to the process of teaching students with a learning disability or a developmental disability or a behavioral problem. But when we talk about special education, the field is also extended and covers the children who display exceptional abilities. They are gifted children, very talented children in one or more fields. They are also included in this term. So children who are different from the normal children, they are termed as exceptional children. So exceptional may not be relating to learning disability, but whoever is having exceptional abilities to learn, they also come under exceptional children. Some may be very good in English, but may not understand math a bit. But some may be very good in science and maths, but they will not understand a bit of language. So they are also termed under exceptional children. Some may be a very good artist, but cannot conceptualize any thought. So they also come under exceptional children. Now let us go ahead with the definition of exceptional children. An exceptional child is who deviates physically, intellectually, emotionally, and socially so marked from normal growth and development that he cannot be benefited from a regular classroom program and needs special treatment in the school. This is what Crunchshank says. So whoever is deviating physically and intellectually, slightly retarded or slightly gifted, emotionally, who cannot adjust with the school, so and socially who cannot adapt himself to the society, to the community, to the classroom. So they deviate from the normal growth and development process, and they don't want to sit in a regular classroom setting. They need some special treatment. So they are called exceptional children. And Kirk says, an exceptional child is one who deviates from normal and average child in mental, physical, and social characteristics to such an extent that he needs a modification in the school practices. So, the school needs to modify according to the needs of these children, or extend special education services or any supplementary instruction in order to develop his capacity. Let's go ahead with history of special education. Frampton and Gall observed that while there was no conclusive evidence, abandonment of disabled was a universal practice in the ancient world. We all know that people with dark skin were not appreciated, and white skin were, told that they are direct descendant from God. And people with dark skin, they are their slaves. So, the handicapped individuals were not being given due attention. They were not treated properly. So, nobody thought that they should be educated. But in the second half of 18th century, the concepts of education for the disabled took to their root, because the liberal ideas and the socialistic ideas, they started sweeping through the Western Hemisphere, particularly France and the United States of America. But in France, in the year 1785, the first school for the blind started in Paris. And also, the early version of manual alphabet using finger spelling for the deaf was also developed by Father Delapse. So these were the starting of understanding even the learning disabled should also be properly educated. So now we are dealing with the history of special education. In the United States of America, the first permanent school for the deaf was set up in Hartford, Connecticut. In the year 1829, Braille developed a system of raised point alphabet using 6 dots, that is like a 3D, in parallel rows of 3 dots each. So this was the landmark in educating the blind people. So in India, the first school for the deaf was set up in Bombay in 1883, and the first school for the blind at Amritsar. So slowly this gained momentum, and there are over 3,200 special schools today by non-governmental organization NGOs. After the Second World War, under the influence and guidance of United Nations, there is a rapid transformation in the humanities approach. So initially they were thinking educating the handicapped or the people with a disability is a charity work, one of charity. But then later it became an issue of human rights. Even they have a right to educate themselves. So the society has to think of various means and modes to educate the learning disabled. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights under the convention. So after that, the international action was taken that all the disabled should be educated. And in 1992, United Nations adopted a resolution, and they declared the 3rd December of each year as International Day of Disabled Person. Even in the United Kingdom, the Disability Discrimination Act was set up in 1995, that all the persons with disabilities should be treated without any prejudice and bias, any discrimination. Even in Australia, in 1992, they said they should not be eliminated as far as possible, even in the areas of work, occupation, education. So the government should ensure that everybody will have the same rights and fundamental rights as the rest of the community. Equality should be there. Even in South Australia, the first state to adopt a system of integrated education. So it went one step ahead. So they started integrating education in normal schools in the early 1970s, and currently actively implementing inclusive practices in schools. So it was the first thing, only in South Australia it started.